Rick Caruso joins us now live via Zoom. Thank you so much. Good to see you, Mr. Caruso.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
What's your response to that? And are you going to be taking an active role in the next few months, if the recall does qualify, to try to convince voters that they should recall George Gascón?
Well, let me be clear on my position on this. My position is I support the recall. I support having him actually being voted out of office. The policies that he has put into place, that George Gascón has put into place, are causing us real problems and harm. They're causing our communities not to be safe, and he needs to be held accountable for that. It's clear. It's clear. And let me also say about the Congresswoman, being the mayor of Los Angeles, you need to have decisive leadership. You need to have somebody that can actually take positions and work every day for what's in the best interest of Angelenos and keeping them safe and their communities livable. So by the fact that she didn't answer the question, by the fact that she stood next to George Gascón when she announced her candidacy for mayor, the fact that she continues to avoid it just tells you that she does support George Gascón. And I'm going to be actively involved in making sure people get out and they have a choice in this election. I can do more than just focus on my campaign. I can focus on multiple things at one time to make this city better.
So that means that you will, in fact, campaign, in addition to your own campaign for the recall of Gascón.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
I mean, look at this. Look at the story that you just had. Every night on your news and every news is another story about violence going on. Let me tell you, you know, just as a coincidence, I'm at an event being hosted by Nicole Avant at her home tonight for women and talking about protecting their right to choose. But here at Nicole's house, nobody has been impacted more by violence than this household, by the terrible murder of Nicole's mom, 85-year-old Jackie Avant. That's what this issue is about. There has to be clarity on the lapse of good decision-making on part of George Gascón and the direct impact of his policies on people's lives and people being scared in this city because of the amount of violence that's going on. It's everywhere.
Well, the Avant family has been through so much, and we're going to talk to you more about that in a moment. But speaking of, one of the most horrific crimes that we've seen in some time happened over the weekend in downtown Los Angeles, where Olympian silver medalist Kim Glass, she was in downtown Los Angeles in broad daylight, went to lunch, and she was randomly attacked by a homeless man. She has severe facial fractures. There has been an arrest. It's a 51-year-old man. Well, because of this, Congresswoman Bass, she came out, she reacted to this on Twitter. She said this, and we can show that to you, her statement. "This is a despicable act of violence that has no place in our city. People who commit heinous crimes like these must be held accountable. My #1 job as a mayor will be to keep Angelenos safe." Mr. Caruso, what is your plan to stop the rising crime?
Well, I have a very clear plan. If you go to CarusoCan.com, I've talked about it during the primary, of adding more officers, having a community-based police force. I've done it before as the police commissioner in reducing crime. And of course we have to hold people accountable. And of course we have to start enforcing the law, which we're not doing now. But let me just tell you something about the Congresswoman. Her plan is not to add more officers. She is actually supporting a city attorney candidate who is against enforcing misdemeanors, who is against enforcing the laws on encampments on the street, who is against gay marriage. I mean, look at who she's endorsing. Look at what she's talking about. It shows you where the Congresswoman is coming from, and she needs to be held accountable. So that's a great statement, but it's very easy for a Washington-based career politician. They're very good at issuing statements. But I haven't seen action, and she's been in office for 20 years. And let's look at her record and let her prove out that she can actually make this city safer. And let's look at my record on what I've done making this city safer. and then the voters can decide.
We want to get more into that city attorney race at a different date here, and we want to invite the candidates for that to actually go at it on their own on that race. But let's focus more on this mayor's race itself. In terms of records, Karen Bass would say that she's a lifelong Democrat who's been a lifelong supporter of women's right to choose. And there's, some people that have questioned your record on that. Back in 2007, LA Magazine reported that you were against abortion in most cases, except for stem cell research. Recently, you put out an emotional statement after Roe v. Wade was overturned. Can you give us some clarity on where you are right now on the abortion issue, and what specifically you think the city of LA should do about it now that abortion has been essentially overruled in many states in this country?
Well, let me just say this also. The abortion issue that is being, thrown at me is being done by Karen's campaign and her billionaire friends, and they're trying to create this dust cloud to avoid the real issues. But my position is clear, and it always has been clear. I support a woman's right to choose, period. That's where I've been. I'm a proud Catholic. I believe in my faith, but that's very, very different from my position on where I believe that people have control of their lives. And if you look at that same article, what's in quotes talks about my strong feeling that government should get out of the personal lives and dictate what people do with their personal lives. You should read that quote. And I think politicizing the woman's right to choose is wrong. And if you look at Nancy Pelosi's statement, which was a great statement she made on June 16th, she said the same thing. That has nothing to do with a position of any candidate, has nothing to do with my position as mayor. And as mayor, I will stand behind women of the city. I will stand behind women of the state. I will make sure we always protect their right to choose. And I will also make sure that we have the facilities open to welcome other people in this city so that they can come into the city, come into the state, and exercise their right to choose. I think that is a very important role of the mayor, and that's been my history, and I've been on the record with that.
Mr. Caruso, we have less than a minute. Looking at the results from June 7th, you came out strong at first, but then there was a reversal, and you are behind Congresswoman Bass by 7 percentage points, 43% to 36%. This is you, despite the fact that you spent $40 million. How do you overcome that deficit as we head into November? Are you planning to spend another $40 million to overcome this deficit?
The goal was to be in the top 2. I got in the top 2. If you remember, I started out about 5 or 6%. I've been a candidate for all of about 4 months in my career. I haven't had 20 years being an elected official to have my name out there, so I had to have my name out there. I'm going to catch up, and I'm going to win because I'm going to talk about the issues that matter to Angelenos. I'm going to talk about my track record, and I'm going to make a clear distinction between what I can do and what the Congresswoman can do. And then I'm going to trust the voters to do what's right after they look at all the facts. So I feel very confident on where I'm at, and I'm just very, very glad to be in the general election.
Well, hopefully this is the first of many conversations we have over the course of the general election, and hopefully we'll have a debate. But I just want to give you a quick shout out. That is like the best looking Zoom background I've ever seen.
It's gorgeous.
I mean, it looks like you got a painting behind you, the whole thing. Most people have blank walls. I mean, this is nice.
You can thank Nicole Avant and Ted Sarantos for hosting me here tonight and giving me a great background.
I thought it was a green screen. Yeah. Not kidding.
that is beautiful. All right, Mr. Caruso, thank you so much for the time tonight, and good luck out there on the campaign trail.
Hey, thank you both. Really appreciate the opportunity.